We get a lot more of Ginny in this film. What did you learn about the character?
And I think we've always seen her as this young girl, and now she's becoming quite confident, and I think I really sort of found that she's quite fearless in a sense. She kind of doesn't really care what other people are thinking, and she sort of wants to be there for Harry, and sort of she'll join in any action. I think you see that when he runs out through the fire into the reeds when the Death Eaters attack the Weasley house, and she just runs straight after him, so it shows a sense of sort of bravery she's got.
Yeah, I think she's the most brave of all the characters. Like, she's most like Harry.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's how they're sort of drawn to each other.
How is it to grow up, in a sense, on this film and actually kiss your co-star who you've been working with for so long?
It is quite weird. I think we've all known each other for so long. It's like a family sort of feeling. It's like being with a sort of brother or a sister. You spent so much time with each other. So I think then having to sort of do a scene like that, it's kind of quite a strange and different experience. But I don't know, I think people build it up quite a lot, but I think when we're on set, it's sort of, we just treat it like another normal scene in order to make it, as realistic as possible.
Was there a lot of pressure on that scene?
I don't know, I think at first I thought there would be quite a lot of pressure, but then after sort of talking to David Yates and having rehearsals with Dan and sort of working out how he wanted this relationship to pan out, it sort of kind of, I think you have to just forget about all the sort of people who are waiting for this moment and just be in the moment.
The movie has so many scary moments. What are you scared of? I'm asking everyone.
I've never been one for like animals and I like animals, like as in pets, but I never really like creatures and insects and spiders, so I'm probably like Ron in the movie in that way.
Any particular creatures or insects?
I'd probably say I have a real phobia to things that jump, so probably like grasshoppers and crickets. I really hate that.
All right, so I've been doing this a long time, and so I've watched kids grow up into adulthood. So Lindsay Lohan and Macaulay Culkin and all these other kids. And the one thing I always have a little bit of trouble with is letting them grow up. Yeah. So have you had this problem now that you're an adolescent?
I think so. I think what's been great about kind of working within Harry Potter is there's so many of us doing it all together. So there's a kind of real sense of sort of, I don't know, there's a kind of a family environment. It's kind of, we're all sort of supportive and we're there for each other. And I think with a lot of sort of other children actors, they're very much kind of on their own and they're sort of doing lots of different films where we've been in this, from the beginning together. And we've got such an amazing network, around us, the producers and the directors and all the crew and all the people who sort of have made this experience a very enjoyable, and they have given a lot, all of us a lot of freedom. They've always wanted us to be very much involved in the creative process of these movies, and they've always been very sort of, I don't know, they sort of, when they sort of congratulate you that they really, really mean it. So it definitely does sort of, I think you've learned kind of a really good work ethic really from a lot of them. They've all been very passionate towards making movies. It's not really about sort of the kind of fame that surrounds it, although there is such a kind of big following of Harry Potter. Luckily we sort of, I don't know, we've all seemed to kind of be very much focused. When we're on set, we kind of want to make each film sort of better and better for the audience.
Is it nice for you to get more and more to do, so there'll be more in the next two, and here you are front and center of this one?
Yeah, it's been definitely enjoyable and very challenging, I think. I think when you're growing up and you're wanting to be challenged more, you want to kind of have more to do and have more input into the film, which I really felt in this film I had. I kind of was able to sort of take Ginny further as a character and also show the audience a lot more of her. But it was fun as well, I think, to do. I think with Harry Potter films there can be so many sort of big scenes, in the Great Hall, there's sort of hundreds of people and sometimes everyone can get a bit lost really. So to have a bit more, I don't know, much more intimate scenes and a bit more sort of concentrated, it's a very different style of acting which I've learned.
So the movie deals with teen romance.
Yeah.
So how realistic is the teen romance? Has it been tempered down a little bit, or is that kind of like the way it is for you now?
I don't know, I think they're quite, each kind of relationship that you see in Harry Potter is quite individual, it's quite different. I think the relationship you see in this film with sort of Ron and Lavender is that sort of, I don't know, that childhood sort of obsession that, kids get sometimes when they kind of are infatuated by someone, and it's quite a kind of whirlwind of a relationship. And then there's the relationship like Ginny and Harry have, which is very, very different. They've sort of both had their sort of first little romances. We've seen Harry have his first kiss, and the fans waited for that and they've seen that. So I think in this film it's very much the romance that they share is actually quite individual, I think, from probably many other kids share. This sort of sense of quite innocent but sort of pure sort of connection that they have with each other, because obviously we know that they end up together. So there is sort of quite a pressure behind this relationship.
In 10 seconds is all I've got, just to say the character you play is really strong, and I didn't expect that going into this movie, but I'm pleased with the way it came out.
Oh, thank you. That's
All right,
fine.
I'm out of time.
First of all, Bonnie, congratulations on your performance on this. It's so nice to see you all grown up and lovely in this film. It must be like a giant family reunion when you get back on the sets.
Yeah, it is. I think it's that feeling when, you know, you spend the summer away from your school friends and you come back and it's sort of catching up and sort of all the relationships and sort of energy that's on set sort of just happens again. And it's, you know, each film has new cast members on each one. So it's always exciting to meet them.
Yeah, I'm sure. Great new cast members, I would think. Like over the years, I'm wondering, you know, when you look at all, especially the veteran actors that you've had a chance to work with, has there been anybody specifically for you that's either mentored you or that's been kind of guided you through this?
Yeah, I think there's so many amazing sort of, you know, already outstanding British actors who've worked. I mean, almost nearly every British actor seems to be somewhere in the Harry Potter series. So I think just watching them, I think, you know, people like Alan Rickman and Michael Gambon and Maggie Smith and Julie Walters. There's so many people you can just kind of observe, and they're sort of real professional sort of. I know the way they go about things is very sort of focused. They're always, you know, the minute they step on set, they're very much their character, and they seem to sort of really inhabit everything. So it's just been, I don't know, it's just been a kind of very unique experience. I think no one really works with that many talented people in one movie.
Well, especially when you were cast. I mean, can you believe it? I mean, you're 18 now. You were 9 years old when you started this experience. No real acting experience. No. Your brother basically said, go try out for the role, and you did. So you have your brother to thank.
Yeah, I know. I should get him a bunch of flowers or something.
Yeah, that would be nice. It'd be some chocolates maybe, you know. But seriously, like, you know, here you are, this young girl, and it must have been mind-boggling to get this, you know, this education on set, I would think.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's been, I think from starting these films, all of us, like you say, a lot of us hadn't had any experience. So starting for the, you know, a blockbuster. I mean, I know it wasn't, we didn't know how successful it would be at the beginning, but it was, you know, a Warner Brothers film. The sort of the budget that was behind it was a big blockbuster film. So it's been definitely jumping in at the deep end. So it's been a quick learning process. But I think everyone who works on these films is so passionate towards everything they do, and they kind of, their work ethic is kind of very, you know, very hard-working, but very enjoyable to work with. So it's definitely probably made us quite, I know it's matured us all quite quickly, and sort of made us understand what makes everyone want to be involved in film.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about Ginny Weasley. She's grown up. She's, you know, she's got some feelings for Harry. Well, she's always had feelings for Harry, but in this one we really get to see, you know, her blossom. And tell me about, you know, taking on the character in that direction.
Yeah, I think it's been really exciting for me, obviously, sort of, as an actress, it's made me sort of really challenge myself and sort of find new emotions for her to sort of explore. And I think a lot of the time, you know, the audience didn't really ever get to see much of Ginny, and I think sort of hearing from what people have said, they've always wanted a bit more of her. So I think I was really excited by that sort of challenge in this film to show her. And she's become, you know, a very confident sort of young woman, really. She's kind of quite clever and fearless about kind of what other people think. She's very independent and sort of, I don't know, driven, and obviously she finally gets Harry in the end, and that's obviously probably the envy of many girls around her.
I would say, and a wee bit aggressive.
Yeah, I think so. She has, I think from growing up in a big family full of sort of older brothers, she's become a bit of a sort of, there's a tomboy edge to her, I think. I think she's quite, I think her Quidditch playing is very sort of, she's quite competitive, I think, inside, and she sort of wants to fight, and sort of, she's got a kind of real sort of winning streak.
And then, of course, you know, you are the envy of everybody right now because you get to kiss Daniel and Harry on, you know. Yeah. But again, we were talking about the family, you know, this guy's like your brother. I mean, here you are on the set and you gotta do the kiss. You know, was it giggly? What was it like for the two of you?
Yeah, it was strange. I think from knowing each other for so long, like you say, it's almost like a brother sort of relationship. It's kind of hard to describe. But I think from reading, you know, in the first moment when I read the book and sort of found out that's what happened, and then reading the script and seeing how sort of Steve Kloves had written it, it was really exciting to sort of, you know, have a very different side to Harry Potter. I think we've seen so many sort of massive sort of scenes with hundreds of people in the Great Hall, and then suddenly to have just the two of us in a scene is such a kind of big contrast, and it's quite, you know, suddenly having to sort of look at someone you've known for so long, like this close, in a completely different way. It's quite difficult, and it's quite weird watching it, I think, on screen.
Yeah, but it was beautiful. It was a nice scene, very, very nice scene. Okay, so I understand you have some tricks that you've learned over the years about shooting scenes for Harry Potter, especially the big, long banquet scenes. What's your secret for getting through those?
Yeah, they're very long, the days. Actually, we do we've got to sort of get all the sort of the scale, and we want to get the whole feeling of being inside the Great Hall, which always sort of comes across very well, I think. But yeah, I think there's so much eating that goes on in those scenes. I think there's a kind of a, there's just food after food, and it becomes quite overwhelming when you're maybe in there for 3 days. And if you kind of in the Great Hall, you've probably noticed on the outside there's loads of, on the edges there's fireplaces. So it gets incredibly hot, and we're in cloaks, and those cloaks and uniforms are pretty hot. So yeah, just to stay cool and probably not ever really kind of eat too much of the food, because if you do it in one take, you have to do them in 20. So. Yeah,
you're just trying to, don't want to eat that.
Yeah, just drink, that's what I do.
Lots of water.
I'm really thirsty, I'm just going to keep drinking in this scene.
I have to say, I have to commend all of you, because like I say, you've grown up in this, it's been the Harry Potter phenomenon, and I want to know how on earth you all stay so normal and level-headed. You're just such all lovely people to talk to and meet.
Okay. I think we all started so young, and we didn't really know a lot about the film industry, or sort of this idea that so many people have become obsessed with now. I think in the media this is the idea of sort of fame and sort of being sort of at the forefront of everything. But all of us sort of started at quite, a small sort of state, and we've sort of grown within this film. We're such a tightly kind of knit sort of group, and there's such an amazing network of people around us that support us, like the producers and all the crew and sort of all the publicity that sort of deal with this movie. So I think it's probably kind of hats off to them, really, who've really sort of helped us through this journey. And we've all been together in it. We've all had, it's never been a lonely experience for all of us. There's always kind of, us to keep us going through the days and sort of chat to one another and make it a light-hearted sort of fun experience.
In it together. Till the very end. I can't wait to see the last 2 films. It must be very exciting. You're already into that, right? You're starting to shoot? Very exciting. Well, we'll see you next year on that one. Congratulations. Great job in this. Nice.
Since the Deathly Hallows, the book came out, do you approach things differently, knowing how it's all going to end?
Yeah, I think there was that sort of sense that when we were doing this film, obviously the last book had, was coming out, so we were very much, we all knew, what was vital in the 6th one in order to sort of portray the 7th one. But I think it's important not to think too much about where your character goes, because obviously no one really knows in their life, where their life's leading. So I did sort of have to sort of put that one aside and just concentrate on the 6th one.
Sure. And what's it like for you guys on the set, though, knowing that, I know you still have like another year of shooting for the last 2 films, but is it getting kind of bittersweet in a way, knowing it's coming to an end?
I don't know, it's a strange experience, I think, when you're coming to an end of something that we've kind of been doing for so long now. It's kind of, I think it will only hit us really when, 6 months later, when we finish this film, we're not coming back to do another one, because we've had gaps, obviously, in between each one. But it's been such a big part of all of our lives. It's going to be quite, I don't know, just, I can't really imagine, I don't think, just yet how it's going to feel.
Sure. Where are you on the new films?
We're doing them back to back, sort of. So we're filming sort of all different sort of elements simultaneously, sort of. And the first part, I haven't actually I start filming in 2 weeks. Okay. So I've just been preparing really and reading the scripts and different things. So.
It'll probably be sort of different experience though, because you're not at the school as much.
Yeah, they're kind of travelling much more sort of around, finding these Horcruxes. So I think this 6th one is the last time we sort of have this real sort of school feeling and the sort of Great Hall moments. We don't really get many of them at all, really.
And how do you feel your character has evolved over the course of the series? Has it tracked with like how you have grown up?
Yeah, I think so. I think all of us can sort of draw on experiences of our own to sort of, channel into these characters. We've all been through the sort of same teenage things, and we've all sort of grown into ourselves. And I think in this book you really see all the characters becoming, more independent and sort of understanding of what they want to do and what they're feeling.
In the movie, Dumbledore extracts a memory and preserves it. Well, if you could do that, what memory would you choose?
I think from just, the experience of all these Harry Potter movies, I'd probably want to take the whole thing, really, and never forget any moment that we've had.
There's a lot of snogging going on in the film. What was it like filming those scenes?
I think when we read, when I read the book and read the screenplay, you sort of begin to sort of you know, feel, oh God, we're going to have to do this and we're going to have to be in this moment. But really, I think you've just got to treat it, in order to make it feel real and to capture it how it is in the book, you've just got to go for it, I think.
What's one of your favorite spells?
I think in this film, I think you see you begin to really see this idea of apparating. I think Dumbledore takes Harry on this first journey of apparating, and it's quite a stickly experience at first, but I think once you've mastered it, I think it'd be a pretty cool thing, this fact that you can just travel like in the kind of space of a second.
What was your favorite scene to film?
When the Burrows are under attack by Bellatrix Lestrange and all the sort of Death Eater characters, it was just really exciting. There was loads of explosions and running through these reeds. And we did it as a night shoot, and it was just, I don't know, it just felt truly quite, you know, like you were in this moment, and it wasn't a film set. It was almost like I was being chased.
And what's your favorite part of the castle?
I know, I think from being a Gryffindor house kind of character, it's always lovely in the Gryffindor common room. There's sort of a real coziness to it, and it's always there. And I kind of, every time you come on each film, it's always the same, and it's a kind of sense of belonging that's really lovely. I think it'd probably be more sort of, probably a magical experience for someone, you know, like a fan, to actually kind of have this relationship with Harry, because we've known each other for so long. So it's quite a different feeling for us, because it's kind of, you know, it's part of the sort of the job of doing this scene. So it's much more sort of, it's not as, let's say it's not as romantic as, you know, something happens like that in real life. It's very much kind of part of a moment.
When I read the book, I didn't ever think that it would happen, you know, the kind of relationship that, you know, happens between Ginny and Harry. I never really assumed that. I think, yeah, it was a sudden excitement. I think not just because of the romance element, just because she steps forward a lot more as a character. It's going to be weird, you know, meant to be kind of married with 3 children.